He was about to die at 3 a.m. But the cleaner became his unexpected MOM. The clock screamed 3 a.m. The air crackled with tension, thick as fog that clung to the ground. Jake lay in his bed, drenched in sweat. He had felt it creeping in, that sense of doom, the prickling on the back of his neck. He had never been a superstitious guy, but tonight felt different. The shadows danced on the walls, twisting like fingers trying to grab him. There was something sinister in the air, something that didn't belong, something that whispered his name. His heart raced. Was that a tap on the window? No, just the branches, clawing at the glass. But beneath the muffled sounds, he heard something else. A soft, muffled cry. It was faint, almost lost in the stillness, but it sent chills racing along his spine. A part of him wanted to hide under the covers, but another part needed to know. What was out there? Jake got up, each step heavy with dread. He crept toward the sound, heart pounding like a drum. He peered outside, but the street was empty, veiled in shadows. But it was there, just out of sight. Fast, was it? Or slow? It tickled at his sanity like the sharp edges of broken glass. And then he saw her, a figure hunched over in the alley, silhouetted against the darkness, wrapped in rags. His pulse raced. Was she hurt? What was she doing there at this hour? As he leaned closer, a horrible thought crashed into his mind. What if she was in trouble? What if he was about to breathe in danger? But that was his instinct kicking in, caring for others. No one should be alone at 3 a.m., especially not in their darkest hour. Before he could think too much, he thrust the window open. Hey! Are you okay? His voice echoed into the night, raw and desperate. But the figure didn't move. Was she even alive? Panic gripped his chest as he squinted harder. And just then, a bright flash split the darkness. A light flickered behind him, and in an instant, the room grew cold. The horrifying image of the figure morphed into a mist, swirling and darting away from view. Just as the light faded, Jake stumbled back, gasping. Was it just his imagination? He turned, but before he could shake off the fear, he felt her presence. Was it the same figure? Pouring into his room. The thin veil of confusion lifted, and there she was, a cleaner with enigmatic eyes that both comforted and terrified him. You need to get out, Jake, now. But how did she know his name? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The urgency in her voice pulled him to the edge of panic. Why? What is happening? He asked, his breath short. Every instinct screamed to run. But then she stepped closer, her eyes piercing into his. There was an understanding there, something deeper. They're coming for you. You have no time. His mind raced. Who was they? What did she mean? Before he could finish his thought, the lights flickered off, and a deafening silence enveloped him until a whisper slithered through the air, chilling him to the bone. Time's up, it hissed. Jake's heart sank. He had to make a choice. Was she his savior or his doom? As he stood frozen, the air shifted, and the shadows began to twist and stretch. What happened next could change everything. Jake swallowed hard, the lump in his throat tightening as he searched the cleaner's eyes. They held secrets, things he didn't understand but felt deeply. What do you mean they're coming for me? His voice cracked, an echo of his barely contained fear. The room pulsed with tension. Just then, a shrill scream broke through the silence from outside, sending Jake jumping back. The cleaner's eyes widened, urgency etched across her face. "We don't have time." She grabbed his arm, and an electric spark danced between their skin. "Follow me." Before he could protest, she yanked him toward the door. The moment his feet hit the hallway, the atmosphere shifted. Shadows clung to the walls as if they were alive, stretching and writhing in the dim light. The cleaner moved fast, leading Jake through a labyrinth of corridors that felt endless. As they ran, he could hear something slithering behind them, a low growl that sent a chill of dread up his spine. "Who are you?" Jake shouted, trying to keep pace. "What's happening?" "I'm someone who wants to help you. Trust me." She shot a glance back, her expression wild. "But they won't stop until they get what they want." "Get what?" Panic clawed at his voice, forcing him to fight for his breath. "Your life," she yelled just as they rounded a corner. "It's a mistake you've been a part of. They think you have something they need." "Wait, what?" The words came out in a rush, tumbling from his lips. "What do I have? I'm just a guy." The cleaner turned sharply, pushing him behind her as they reached the stairwell. "They're hunting. I can't explain everything right now. We need to get out now." Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the hall, quickening their pace. Jake's heart raced like a wild drum, each beat threatening to drown out the urgent whispers of chaos swirling in his mind. "You can't leave me in the dark like this," he urged, panic pulling at him as they took the stairs two at a time. As they reached the exit, the overhead lights flickered ominously. "They might be able to track you by your heartbeat," she exclaimed, her voice urgent. "Just breathe, quiet your mind." Jake wrestled with the absurdity of this moment. He was running for his life with a stranger who spoke of tracking his heartbeat like he was some kind of prey. The hallway darkened, a chilling heaviness hanging in the air. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. As they burst into the fresh night air, the street outside felt surreal, the moon high above casting an eerie glow. But before he could process the freedom, shadows took shape ahead, looming figures emerging from the darkness. Terror surged through him. "What are they?" he whispered, frozen in place. "A collective," the cleaner breathed, restraining Jake to keep him from running back. "They cannot know you're alive," or a guttural roar interrupted her, splitting the night and sending a rift of pure terror down Jake's spine. Shadows lunged toward them with unnatural speed, eyes gleaming like predators in the night. "Run! Don't look back!" she shouted. They sprinted, every step deepening the storm of fear in Jake's chest. He glanced over his shoulder, and a wave of dread crashed over him. For a moment, he was able to see their features, faces twisted in rage, mouths agape ready to devour. "Why is this happening?" Jake shouted as they darted into a nearby alley, adrenaline coursing through him. "There's a prophecy," she yelled back. "You're part of something greater than you know. We need to find safety." Prophecy? The absurdity spun in his head, adding to the panic that felt like it was tearing him apart. Just ahead, a wooden door swung open. "In here, quickly," she urged. His instincts yelled at him to trust her, to follow her into the unknown. But one thought swirled in his mind like a relentless vortex: could they escape the darkness chasing them, or was that darkness just beginning? As they stumbled through the doorway, the cleaner slammed it closed behind them, the sound resonating like a gunshot in Jake's ears. He leaned against it, gasping for breath. The dim light inside the room cast long shadows across the clutter. Old boxes, dirty rags, and what looked like discarded equipment littered the floor. "Is this safe?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "For now," she replied, her eyes scanning every inch of the space as if searching for hidden dangers. "But we need to move quickly. They'll find us." Jake's mind raced. "Who are they? What do you mean by prophecy?" Each question felt heavier than the last, pressing down on him like the weight of an anvil. "They're not human," she said, urgency edging her tone. They were once, but now they exist as something else, an echo of their former selves. They want the power you unknowingly possess. Jake's heart began to pound again, this time with a different kind of fear. Power? I don't have power. I'm just Jake, a nobody. You're wrong. Her gaze flickered to him, intensity blazing in her eyes. That's what they want you to believe. The truth is tangled in your blood. If they capture you, they'll claim that power for themselves. As she spoke, the shadows wove closer to where they stood. Jake felt the air grow heavy with a dreadful feeling, as if the walls were closing in. Whispers floated through the air, half-formed words that made his skin crawl. What do I do? He implored. How do I get out of this mess? The cleaner took a deep breath, visibly steeling herself. We have to find the others. They can help us figure out what to do. We need to stop the collective before they realize they can track you here. Others? Who are they? They're like me. Survivors. But time is running out. They can smell fear, and right now you're glowing with it. A clattering noise from outside sliced through Jake's thoughts. He jumped, eyes darting to the door. The sound of heavy footsteps was closing in. What if they find us here? They won tea. They can't unless we let them in, she insisted, her face pale but determined. We've blocked the way, but you need to stay calm. They'll get restless if they sense you panicking. Stay calm? He laughed humorlessly, half in disbelief, half in panic. I'm being hunted, lady. And you expect me to just breathe and stay calm? What choice do you have? She snapped, the fire in her voice a sharp contrast to his despair. If they find you now, it's over. You think dying hurts? Watch them take your body and twist your dismay into something far worse. It's either stand and fight or be consumed. Jake felt the fire of her anger seep into him, forcing his own fear back for just a moment. She was right, this was no time to be weak. All right, tell me what to do. Follow me, and whatever you do, don't let your thoughts betray you. With renewed determination, Jake nodded and followed her into the shadows of the cluttered room, hoping for a glimmer of guidance within this twisted fate, but as they crept deeper into the darkness, an unsettling thought clawed at his mind. They were not just escaping. They were heading straight into the heart of a battle neither of them fully understood. Could the prophecy truly hold the key to his survival, or would their quest plunge them both into darkness they couldn't escape? A heavy thud reverberated through the door as something pounded against it. The moment felt electric, pregnant with danger, forcing Jake to brace for the unknown. Would he uncover the truth about himself before it was too late? Jake followed the cleaner, his heart racing, every instinct screaming at him to run. Shadows danced around them as they maneuvered through the clutter, each step echoing in the silence like a hammer striking metal. The pounding at the door continued, a relentless reminder of their precarious situation. How far do we need to go? He whispered, urgency stretching the words thin. Not far, she replied, urgency lacing her voice. Just to the back. We have a hidey hole, but we need to stay quiet. They passed an ancient-looking barred window, the glass dusty but surprisingly intact. Outside, muted flashes of light flickered. Jake's mind raced. Were those their pursuers? A chill ran down his spine as the sight of unnatural shadows pressed against the light made him flinch. Are they close? He asked, his breath hitching. She clasped her hands tightly, her knuckles whitening. Too close. They can sense you. Keep moving. Suddenly, a crash sounded from the room they had just fled. Jake's heart sank, it was as if the sound ripped through the dim silence like a knife. They were in danger, and he felt acutely the weight of her gaze pressing on him. He could feel the raw terror gripping him, like a vice tightening. Just ahead, a heavy curtain hung a makeshift divider. Jake noticed her hesitation as she paused before it. What is it? He pressed, sensing her anxiety. Her expression morphed into something darker, more conflicted. This is where we regroup. But, she breathed deeply, weighing her words. We still have to keep going afterward. I've seen what they do. Before Jake could inquire further, they slipped behind the curtain into a small, hidden space. It felt cramped, the air thick and suffocating. Boxes piled high surrounded them, dusty and old. A single flickering bulb cast eerie shadows that contorted like ghosts on the walls. They sense our fear. We stay low, her voice faded as Jake tried to calm his racing heart, swallowing hard. What do you mean they sense us? He whispered, panic creeping back in. What are we hiding from? They're not human, Jake, she said firmly, eyes fierce. They are predators now, driven by a hunger that never satiates. If they get a hold of you, they drain every ounce of hope and life. An unsettling silence fell between them, broken only by the giant heartbeats echoing in Jake's ears. He couldn't shake the feeling that something dark was watching them. The air carried a cloying heaviness that weighed down his thoughts. What do we do after this? He asked, trying to focus on something other than the noise outside, hoping for a plan that could save him. Once we regroup, we will contact the others, she breathed. You need to understand how dangerous this is. This power in you could be catastrophic if it falls into the wrong hands. Another thud rocked the door. It had been a dull echo before, but now it felt like a heartbeat. The rhythm was growing frantic, with more thuds following, synchronizing with his own panic. Whatever was outside wanted in. Wait, he sensed something shift, it wasn't just his heart pounding anymore. The air thrummed with a promise of violence. He turned to her, dread pooling in his stomach. Can we get out of here? The cleaner leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. They know you're here. We need to make a choice, confront them or escape. But either comes with blood and fear. Suddenly, the curtain fluttered fiercely, as if pushed by an unseen hand. Jake froze, staring wide-eyed into the shadows. Then, an unsettling whisper crawled into his ears, unrecognizable yet familiar, chilling him to his core. Jake. He felt her grip tighten on his arm, panic mirrored in her eyes. What was that? He gasped, unable to contain his fear as the shadows began to swirl tighter around them. As the whisper wrapped around him, Jake's mind raced. Was confronting the entity worth the risk? And what if that voice held the key to everything he needed to know? The moment hung heavy with unresolved terror, every flicker of light in the room dimming as something terrible stirred. Could the choice he made now lead them to salvation or doom? Jake's breath quickened as the voice pulsed through the shadows, tinged with something he couldn't decipher: fear, familiarity, or perhaps both. Time slowed as he felt the air around him thicken, almost suffocating. The cleaner's grip dug into his arm, anchoring him amid the confusion. Don't listen to it. She hissed, her eyes darting desperately from the curtain to the walls, as if expecting something to burst through. The shadows flickered again, weaving in a menacing dance that blurred the edges of reality. What is that? Jake felt the words spill from his lips, a desperate plea for logic in a spiraling nightmare. It's one of them, she breathed, an edge of fury mixed with terror lacing her voice. They can twist your memories, Jake. They prey on your thoughts. Don't let it in. But as she spoke, the whisper grew louder, seductive. Jake remembered it echoed, wrapping around his consciousness like a cold embrace, pulling him back to images that shook the very foundation of his mind. In the haze of memory, he saw a sunny day at a local park, laughter ringing in the air. He was just a boy, running toward a faded blue blanket spread out under an enormous oak tree. There, a woman with warm brown eyes and a smile that lit the entire scene held out her arms to him. Come here, sweetheart. Jake froze, caught between the haunting longing of that moment and the pressing danger right now. No, I can't, the cleaner shouted, a fierce clarity breaking through the haze. Jake! Focus on me. Don't look away. He shook his head violently, trying to banish the memories that threatened to swallow him whole. The light grew dimmer, each flickering bulb echoing his vulnerability. "What do we do?" he choked out. "Fight!" she shouted with an authority that broke through the terror. "We attack the darkness. The more you resist, the stronger they become." Yet as he looked into the depths beyond the curtain, he saw the shadows morphing, growing darker and more tangible. It was as if the very fear inside him was coming to life. Despite the growing dread, a rebellious spark ignited within him. "But how?" "Channel it," she urged. "Your fear, your hopes, they're entwined. You have to believe you're more than this moment." Jake squeezed his eyes shut, forcing himself to remember the joy of that sunny day, the taste of ice cream dripping down his fingers, the warmth of unconditional love. The smile of that woman, his mother. Her face anchored him, a beacon amid the chaos. They had taken everything from him. He wouldn't allow them to take this too. Focusing all his energy on that love, he felt a pulse within him, a surge fueled by defiance. "I want to let you win," he shouted, his voice breaking the oppressive darkness. The shadows recoiled, swirling violently as if unsure how to respond to the defiance. Behind him, the cleaner's grip strengthened, a silent partnership formed. "Now!" she shouted, launching forward, her body a certain declaration against the advancing dread. The frantic pounding at the door intensified, shaking the very foundations of their precarious hideout. Jake stood resolute, heart pounding alongside the chaos outside, determination igniting every nerve in his body. "Together!" he cried out, feeling an echo of power flood through him, unrelenting and undeniable. Suddenly, the curtain ripped wide open, revealing a figure shrouded in darkness, towering and looming. The sickly sweet whisper grew into a shriek that rang in his ears. "You cannot escape." Jake and the cleaner stepped forward, not backward, facing the swirling mass of enmity, a dark embodiment of all their fears. Jake's heart thrummed defiantly, a war drum. But at that moment, a realization hit him with a chilling clarity. What if the darkness wasn't just a force to be fought? What if it connected them all in some twisted, horrific way? As shadows roiled around them, one thought crashed over everything else. They might just be at the threshold of an unimaginable truth that could alter everything or doom them entirely. Would they unravel the lies intertwined in the darkness? Or would they be consumed whole? The dark figure loomed larger, its edges flickering like a mirage, curling and twisting in ways that left Jake's stomach churning. He felt the cold of its presence seep into his bones, the unsettling whisper crawling back into his mind. "Fighter or victim?" it echoed, distorting with each syllable. A knot formed in Jake's gut, the very air around him becoming a heavy cloak of despair, threatening to suffocate him. "Keep your eyes on me," the cleaner shouted, her voice slicing through the thick fog. She stepped forward, a warrior in the midst of a storm, and Jake felt that initial spark of hope reignite. He took a deep breath, inhaling the taste of fear mixed with determination, anchoring himself in that moment. Suddenly, the shadows unraveled like threads pulled from an old tapestry. The figure intended to shroud them in its dark embrace. "You think you're stronger? You think she can protect you?" it hissed, a chilling blend of laughter and mockery. "You're but a flicker in the chaos." "Shut up!" Jake shouted, channeling his fear into anger. He stepped closer to the cleaner, shooting her a look filled with resolve. "What do I need to do?" "Trust your instincts, Jake. Remember who you are." She returned his gaze, her eyes fierce, igniting a fire in him that felt almost unnatural. "Remember," the darkness pulsed, the voice soft and velvety again as it wrapping around him like a smothering blanket. Vivid images swirled in his mind, pushing him back into that park, that sun-drenched day. He could see her smile, so hopeful, so warm. "Jake, you are worth this fight." It felt like a moment suspended in time, light pushing through the veil of darkness. With a deep inhale, Jake screamed out, "I share my memories with her." A wild energy surged through him, intertwining his memories with the present, and he reached out to the cleaner. "We're not alone." As he cried out, the shadows writhed, feeling the collective truth of their bond. Light began to pulsate from Jake's chest, a vivid glow that cut through the encroaching dark. The shadow mass shrieked, recoil evident, yet seeking a deeper grasp onto him. No! It roared, bellowing like thunder through the air. The walls shook, the very fabric of reality bending under the weight of their confrontation. Jake felt the warmth of unity with the cleaner, felt something rise between them, a force stronger than fear. Gritting her teeth, the cleaner stepped forward, combining their resolve. It's time to reclaim our strength. Remember each other. With every word, she harnessed Jake's energy, creating a swirling vortex of memories mixed with defiance. The shadows snarled, compressing and twisting into a form that pulsed with malevolent intent. Then I'll take her from you both. Before Jake could react, a thick tendril shot forward, aiming straight for the cleaner. Time froze, Jake's heart raced, crashing like waves against the shore. Instinctively, he shouted, "No!" Reaching out, he pulled the cleaner close, their connection surging with light. As the tendril struck, a magnificent burst erupted, brilliant radiance scattering across the room, pushing against the shadows with the force of a tidal wave. The room exploded with blinding brilliance. For one surreal moment, Jake felt as if he was weightless, hovering between realms. The darkness clamored for dominance, twisting and writhing in agony, absorbed by their newfound power, but just as quickly as it began, the light dimmed, revealing the aftermath of their struggle. The tall, dark figure had faltered, severed into fragments that dissolved back into swirling shadows. Yet, something stirred within the remnants, the echo of its voice, a whisper that filled the air. Remember this isn't over, it never ends. Jake's throat tightened, dread clawed at him, an ominous reminder that the shadows would not relinquish their hold entirely. There was still a price to be paid. What does it mean? He breathed, the weight of uncertainty hanging heavily between them. The cleaner looked down, her brow furrowed. It means we're closer to knowing the truth, but also, we're just at the beginning. There's more ahead, Jake. Jake shivered as new fears took root. What awaited them around the corner? As he turned to the shadows still lingering in the corners, a chilling question arose: were they truly free, or had they unwittingly stirred something far more menacing? With shadows still swirling like a silent predator, the fight against the darkness was only just beginning. The lingering shadows seemed to breathe, a soft undulating pulse that filled the room. Jake strained to listen, almost hoping for guidance among the hisses that echoed off the walls. Desperation clawed at him, urging him to take action. What do we do now? His voice wavered, revealing layers of uncertainty. The cleaner stepped forward, her form steady against the chaos surrounding them. Now we find out what it wants. Her tone was resolute, but Jake could hear the tremor and uncertainty beneath her fierce exterior. Find out what it wants? He shot back, panic creeping into his words. It's a monster. What can it possibly want from us? That's just it, Jake. It's not just any monster. It's a reflection of our fears. If we understand its purpose, we might still have a chance. She turned toward the darkened room, eyes narrowing against the shadows that gathered like storm clouds. The air felt charged, crackling with expectation. Jake nodded hesitantly, and together they prepared for whatever lay ahead. A chill swept over the space, making the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Then, the shadow mass shifted once more, coalescing into a shape more defined, a figure that resembled Jake himself, twisted and distorted. Is this what you think you are? It drawled, laughter threading through the air like ice. Get out of my head. Jake shouted, but the words felt weak against the dark's oppressive presence. You think this is a fight, boy? I am but a remnant, a whisper of your doubts, of your regrets. The voice echoed, layering itself over Jake's thoughts. Memories rushed at him, moments of failure, lost opportunities, days spent in absence of hope. Face it, Jake. You fear losing what little you have. The figure smirked, its eyes gleaming. You fear being forgotten. A sudden heaviness settled in his chest. The doubt spiraled, clawing and gnashing. Hadn't it always been there, nipping at his heels? It dawned on him this shadow wasn't merely an adversary. It was a manifestation of his own unresolved guilt. "No, I won't give in," he declared, pushing back against the tide of despair swelling within him. "Ah, but you will. You always do." The entity leaned closer, and Jake took a trembling step back. The cleaner's voice broke through his turmoil. "Jake, remember who you truly are. You have the light to counter it." She held onto his arm like a lifeline, grounding him. "Yeah, I am," he faltered, doubt creeping in again. "What am I? A failure? A mess?" "No. You're a fighter. You've always been. Let go of the past that haunts you. Use it." Her command pulsed with urgency. Memories flashed, faces of friends, moments of kindness, the warmth of love intermingled with the shadows. Taking a deep breath, Jake shouted, "I am more than my mistakes. I fight for everything I hold dear." Suddenly, with each word, a force stirred within him. The shadows around them roared, recoiling as a radiant light began to forge from Jake, channeling the love and hope he had almost forgotten. But just as the light surged, a looming dread settled in once more. The shadow figure began to merge and twist into a larger, more ominous form. "You cannot escape your reality forever, boy. I'll be waiting in the dark." Jake's heart raced, but he stood firm. "No. You're wrong. I will face my fears and discover my truth." As the shadows writhed and screamed, Jake felt a sense of liberation. But just as possibility flickered before him, an unsettling silence fell around them, accompanied by a cold rush of wind. "It's not over yet," Jake the cleaner whispered, clutching his wrist tighter. "Something darker is stirring within." Panic washed over him yet again. He exchanged a worried glance with the cleaner. What more could be waiting for them in the shadows? In the stillness, the air grew heavier, thickening with anticipation. The battle was nowhere near the end. But what horrors lay just beyond the edges of the light they had created? A chilling thought struck him. Had they truly unleashed something even worse than the shadow they had just faced? As the darkness deepened, the question hung in the air, could they face what was coming, or were they merely dousing the flames of a much larger fire? The darkened room felt alive. It pulsed around Jake and the cleaner, shadows creeping and shifting as if relishing the tension between them. A lingering chill hung in the air, twisting through their minds like claws. What now? Jake's voice trembled, uncertainty wrapping around him like a damp blanket. He looked at the cleaner, searching her resilient face for answers. "If it's not over, then what is it?" "Stay alert," she breathed, her grip tightening, anchoring him amid the encroaching fear. "Whatever it is, we have to confront it together." Suddenly, sounds erupted from the corners of the room, whispering voices, half-formed syllables that danced around him like a swarm of angry bees. The shadows swirled, growing hazy and darkening the light they had managed to summon. Jake felt his heart race, panic rising, as thoughts scattered in his mind like leaves in a storm. Then, a new figure emerged from the darkness. This one was not merely a contorted image of Jake but a monstrous version of the cleaner, a twisted reflection of who she might have been had her shadows taken control. Its eyes glinted with malice. "Do you see, boy? You're not the only one with fears," it taunted, voice dripping with contempt. "Look at her. Bound by regret, shackled by guilt. She pretends to be brave, but deep down, she's terrified." "Shut up!" Jake shouted, but the noise of his voice seemed to dissolve in the growing cacophony. "Jake, run!" the cleaner shouted, her voice breaking through the noise. But Jake couldn't move. He was rooted by the horrifying sight of his companion's visage broken and battered by darkness. The cleaner's reflection stepped forward, looming over her. "You think she's going to save you?" it sneered. "She's as lost as you are. Just give in. Let go." "No. I want to let you take her." Jake's lungs burned, desperation wrapping around his voice. He felt a flicker of the light inside him wavering. "We're stronger than this." "Are you?" The reflection laughed mockingly, and its laughter echoed through the only half-lit room. Jake felt himself teeter on the edge of despair, every doubt he'd ever had resurfacing like a wave crashing down upon him. "Use the hope." The cleaner's voice broke in. "Remember what you said. You are more than this." Digging deep, he drew upon every morsel of strength left inside him. The warmth that surged when he thought of the love shared with friends and family sparked again. "You don't own me," Jake cried, summoning light, will, and determination. "You're nothing but a shadow." The monstrous figure paused, its laughter halting abruptly. "Light doesn't dispel shadows. It only reveals them." It hissed, and as it spoke, an immense wave of darkness poured from its form, seeking to engulf them both. Jake staggered, but he clung to the cleaner's arm. "We fight together." A bright burst erupted from Jake, the raw energy spilling out to intertwine with the cleaner's own resilience. Their combined strength pushed against the darkness. It was a moment of brilliance. They were not just fighting the shadows. They were fighting themselves, but suddenly, the floor beneath them cracked, splits forming like jagged scars, revealing an abyss of swirling black beneath. The shadows screamed, a cacophony of voices wrapped in anguish. "No!" the cleaner cried, still pulling Jake closer. "That's the way out." "What do you mean?" Jake clamored, his body shaking with uncertainty. "We can't just jump into that. The only way to truly conquer our fears is to face them head-on. But there's no time. It will consume us if we don't move." Jake felt the weight of the decision bearing down on him. This was more than a leap into the unknown. It was a confrontation with everything that lurked beneath the surface. As the abyss roared, the shadows screeched. A sudden clarity hit Jake, a seamless understanding that they had to choose, now or never. "Together?" he asked, fear mingling with hope. "Always," she shouted, voice slicing through the fear, igniting the bond they had forged. And then, hand in hand, they leaped into the heart of darkness, the screams around them fading, leaving just the echo of their united determination. But what awaited them on the other side? A flicker of light glimmered in the void, but was it hope, or merely another trap? The world around Jake and the cleaner shifted violently as they plunged into the abyss. For a heartbeat, time slowed. Darkness enveloped them, thick and suffocating, an all-consuming void. Jake felt the chill cut through him as if the shadows were biting at his skin, devouring his resolve. Just as despair threatened to claim him, a spark exploded in the depths of blackness, a blinding flash that illuminated their surroundings. They landed softly, the ground beneath them miraculously solid despite the chaos that had defined their previous moments. When the blinding light receded, Jake blinked rapidly, trying to adjust. They were no longer in the shadow-filled room. Instead, they found themselves in a surreal landscape, a realm bathed in a glowing, otherworldly silver. "What is this place?" Jake whispered, turning in amazement. The ground sparkled like shattered glass, while towering structures made of luminous shadows shifted with a life of their own, casting eerie reflections that danced like flickering candle flames. The cleaner, now beside him, searched the horizon. "I don't know, but we need to keep moving. This could be a trap, or worse, a prison designed by the darkness." A soft, haunting melody echoed through the air, wrapping around them like a shroud. Intrigued yet anxious, Jake approached a shimmering structure, an archway that seemed to beckon. The cleaner hesitated, tugging at his sleeve. "Jake, wait. Whatever that is, it doesn't feel right. It's pulling at something deep inside you." He turned to her, unsettling doubt etched on his face. "But what if it leads us to the way back? We can't afford to waste time." As he stepped closer, images flooded his mind, memories of laughter, love, and moments of tenderness intertwined with memories of lost opportunities and regret. Shadows twisted in the corners of his thoughts, reminding him of every choice he had ever feared to make. "No, don't let it in." The cleaner's voice tore through his reverie, urgency thrumming in her tone. But it was too late. The bittersweet memories surged forward, and Jake found his heart aching under their weight. "I just wanted things to be different," he murmured, lost in his own turmoil. Suddenly, the structure shivered, and a magnificent figure emerged, a woman cloaked in radiant light, with features that somehow felt familiar. Her eyes softened with understanding and compassion. "Welcome, Jake. You've summoned me from within your essence. I am the manifestation of your unfulfilled desires and the love you seek." He staggered back, heart racing. "Who are you?" "I am a reflection of everything you wished for, everything that could have been. I am hope, but also the fear of what could never be." She extended her hand, her expression a captivating blend of warmth and sorrow. "Embrace me, and I can show you the way out." "What?" Jake's mind swirled with confusion. He glanced at the cleaner. Her frown deepened, her grasp tightening around his forearm. "Jake, this isn't safe. It could consume you. But what if it's a chance?" He felt that tug, the tempting scent of possible futures. "What if this is the escape we need?" As he reached out, the cleaner's voice cut through once more. "Listen. You have the power to choose. Don't let yourself be trapped by the allure of false dreams." Jake hesitated, the weight of the two powerful presences pulling him in different directions. One promised relief and understanding, and the other urged caution and honesty. His heart raced as he stood at the precipice of choice. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to quake. The radiant figure's smile turned fierce, her form flickering as shadows swarmed around them. "The darkness feeds on indecision. Choose now." A deep roar enveloped the space. The air grew thick as a crushing wave of despair surged toward them. "What do I do?" Jake gasped, panic clawing at his throat. The cleaner stepped closer, her eyes fierce as she shouted, "You have to trust yourself. You are not defined by your fears." But the resounding chaos drowned her out. In that desperate moment, everything coalesced. Jake's heart pounded with resolve. It was a simple truth fighting beneath the surface, a truth forged in the fire of despair, yet shining like a star. "Together!" he shouted, summoning courage as he felt his strength align with the cleaner's unwavering spirit. But would they stand firm against the tide of darkness, or would it claim them both, once and for all? The echoes of chaos faded and morphed into a deep silence that surrounded Jake and the cleaner, leaving only the dull thud of Jake's heartbeat ringing in his ears. He felt the pull of the radiant figure, still looming, whispering promises that danced in the edges of his mind. "Jake," the figure beckoned, her voice sweet and luring. "You want peace. You want to be free from regret and pain. Embrace your dreams. Stay here with me." "No!" Jake shouted, grappling with the conflicting desires roiling within him. "I want to let you control me." He turned to the cleaner, who stood firm, her fiery gaze piercing through the shimmering veil of temptation. "You must believe in your own strength," she urged. "You're not just your past. Let go of fear." The shadows writhed at the edges, almost sensing the hesitation, ready to pounce. With every second spent deliberating, Jake felt the weight of his choice pressing down, his resolve teetering on the brink of despair. "Fight for what you want," she insisted, grounding him with her determination. The darkness swirled closer, an insatiable beast ready to consume him. "Face it, Jake. You're scared. You don't think you can achieve your dreams. You fear being alone again." The radiant figure hissed, the warmth turning cold, venom seeped into her voice that he clenched his fists, memories rushing back, the ache of loneliness, the sting of regrets. But woven into that tapestry of doubt were glimpses of laughter, moments with friends, the flicker of joy that reminded him of who he truly was. "I am not my fears," Jake roared, channeling the pain, the hope, and the unyielding strength within him. "You don't own me." With that, he reached for the cleaner, their hands entwining, each heartbeat echoing like war drums. Together, they formed a barrier against the advancing shadows, their collective light bending the darkness around them. "Now!" the cleaner shouted, her voice fierce like a rallying cry. The radiant figure flickered dangerously, frustration bubbling as the shadows pulsed, desperate to seize what was theirs. "You think this is strength? It is futile. You cannot survive without me." Jake stepped forward, heart thudding wildly in his chest. "Not if it means losing myself." His voice surged with conviction. "I choose life. I choose to fight." As the shadows lunged toward them, ready to engulf them in despair, Jake and the cleaner stood resolute. The force of their combined energy erupted like a tidal wave, radiating outwards. Light burst forth, cutting through the menacing darkness, scattering the tendrils like ashes on a gust of wind. "Feel the warmth. Believe in it." The cleaner called, her energy coalescing with Jake's, fueling the brilliance. The darkness hissed, howling in rage, its figures twisting and writhing as the light grew brighter, a beacon amid the storm. The radiant figure faltered, face contorting beneath the weight of defiance. "No! This cannot be!" It screeched, splitting the darkness before exploding into a million fragments, a shattering reality sculpted by their unified resistance. As the echoes faded, Jake felt a warmth envelop him, a soft glow illuminating their space. He blinked, adjusting to the sudden brightness. They stood together on the other side, the air fresh and clean, filled with a shimmering light that felt alive. The oppressive shadows had shrunk back, retreating into the depths of the cosmos, leaving nothing but silence. "What just happened?" Jake gasped, glancing at the cleaner. "We faced the darkness. You faced yourself," she said, her face softening as relief washed over her, a shared adrenaline settling into a quiet triumph. "You did it, Jake. We did it." Jake stared at her, the gravity of their victory settling in the corners of his heart. The realization swept through him like sunshine breaking through clouds. What's next? He wondered aloud, hope threading through his voice. The cleaner smiled, a flicker of pride illuminating her features. "We keep moving forward. We find the others. There will always be darkness, Jake, but there's also light. We just have to keep fighting for it." The path before them shimmered, stretching into an endless horizon, waiting for them to take that next step. Taking a deep breath, Jake took her hand tighter in his. "Together?" he asked. "Always," she affirmed, and they began walking forward, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, the shadows now a whisper behind them, powerless against the light of their resolve. As they walked into that bright unknown, an echo of laughter filled the air around them, both inviting and filled with the promise of countless adventures to come. But as the darkness turned away, lurking just at the edge of their newfound dawn, a voice whispered one last time, "You think this is over? It's only just begun." And with that final thought, Jake and the cleaner embraced their new journey. They were armed with courage and resilience, ready to face whatever dark entity would dare to challenge them again, but for now, they were free, and their story continued. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive tales that lie just ahead. Smash that like button to show your support and feed the algorithm. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did you see this ending coming? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Your actions help us keep the stories coming.